In a land where cacti outnumber cell towers and the horizon stretches further than a fiber optic cable, it's time for Valley's Bits, Bytes and Banter, the podcast that looks a bit behind the scenes of a broadband provider, takes a big bite out of the tech world, and serves up a healthy dose of banter with people in our community. And now, without further ado, here's your host, Bob Dahlstrom.
Thank you, Lee. Hey, everybody. I'm Bob Dahlstrom, along with my co-host and the audio-visual guru, the man who does it all, makes it all work, Ralph Score.
I'm here.
And welcome to Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter, our podcast where we like to talk a little bit about the tech world, what's going on in our world, and focus on interesting people in our community. And today is no exception. We have a very interesting person to talk to today.
We have a very interesting guest today.
But we're going to talk about some other stuff first. You had some other things. You had topics you were wanting to talk about.
Well, anything company-based that we want to cover, what we got going on right now?
So many things going on. I mean, we're knee-deep in our fiber expansion and upgrade project. Yeah. We have that going on.
And Columbus is like gung-ho right now, Columbus, New Mexico.
Yeah, they have moved to the top of the list right now.
Yeah.
That project is going full guns. I mean, the guys are out there on the ground talking to residents, getting ready to map drops to people's homes, because there are quite a few homes within Columbus.
I think 822 structures is what they talked about.
It is the biggest exchange in our cooperative area. Yeah, out there in New Mexico. Yeah. Columbus, what a great community.
And I know I get the pleasurable experience of driving there quite often here coming up, so I can get some video and photos, and I'm going to take the drone with me and get the whole operation.
And I'll be joining you because I know at least one of those trips we're going to be recording another podcast episode with a guest over there. We're excited to talk to.
Really excited about that.
And we did a ribbon cutting there a couple of weeks ago to officially kick off the program. And I mean the funding that came through from the state and federal level to help get fiber to everybody there within Columbus. Yeah. It's going to be huge.
And there's other areas outside of the village of Columbus too. There's the village proper, and then you've got some other outlying areas that have a considerable amount of homes too. So
that are included in that grant funding. Yeah. VTC.net/fiber. You can go see all the updates on our projects we have going on there. Yeah,
it shows maps of all the areas that we're expanding to now, some of the ones that we're getting ready to build, and that's going to keep getting updated as we get closer into the year. So, I want to cover a little bit of news. This is out of the FCC, of course. They had about a year ago, they started a privacy and data protection task force, and it's kind of a follow-up on 1 year later on. One of the things that they really pushed was the privacy risk created by connected cars. Right? In the wrong hands, built-in connections in the latest cars can be used to do some real harm. The FCC contacted auto manufacturers and wireless carriers to seek their help protecting survivors of domestic violence from the misuse of connected cars. And GM actually announced that it will cease sharing private location information with data brokers. And going even further, the task force helped to craft proposed rules to explore ways to empower survivors to separate connections in their cars so they can't be stalked or harmed by the abusers.
Another aspect you don't necessarily think about in these self-driving vehicles.
In our connected world.
And then not only that, it's kind of like that industry seems a little in flux right now.
Yeah.
Waymo having issues in Arizona, they've been banned because their self-driving vehicles have been in several accidents.
Yeah. Well, I always, it always dawned on me that, you always hear that, and it's not really science. There's no such thing as science fiction. It's a future science fact, right? But where the guy hijacks the car because he can hack it and make it do whatever he wants to make it do, And
it's so James Bond.
Yes, it is.
I love that.
I love it.
What a movie plot right
there. Or
there.
Inspector Gadget, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two.
So, another thing that's going on, they have a first ever voluntary cybersecurity labeling program for connected smart devices. This was approved recently. It's the U.S. Cyber Trust Mark, and it will empower consumers to choose more secure smart products for their homes, while encouraging companies to meet higher cybersecurity standards. And part of the contributing factor to the rules making, they're working with the FCC's Enforcement Bureau to step up efforts to go after companies that fail to protect the privacy of their customers. This is something we know as CPNI, which is the Customer Proprietary Network Information. And as a provider, we have to ascribe to this and pay close attention to this. And we all have to train once a year. All the employees in our company train for that training once a year and get certification.
It's one of those things that just customers, or just people wouldn't normally know unless you're in the industry. But we take protecting customers' information very seriously, and so on every level.
Yeah.
And everybody has to follow these steps in order to make sure that they protect it and don't get scammed and people can't come in. So I know there are questions sometimes, and sometimes they can seem a little inconvenient.
Yeah.
So you get those questions sometimes where people say, "Hey, I wanted so-so to come pay my bill. Why can't they pay my bill?"
Right.
The questions like that, it's all because of CP&I trying to protect people's information. We go that extra step just to make sure that we keep it safe.
Well, and if you're married to someone and you want them to be able to get on the same account, you got to make sure that they're listed on the account as part of the account holder for that kind of information.
Correct. And that's the reason we ask for passwords on the account and those other security questions on the account. It's all these steps, as they do anywhere. Right? You go banking, anything you do online now with multi-factor authorization, it's all to keep it safe, right? To keep all your information safe.
We have a little bit of fun. Okay. Now, this is, I pulled this up from a thing called 52 Perfect Days. This is called Weird Trivia Facts to Impress Your Friends. And of course,
we'll see if you guys are impressed with these facts as they come across.
And our guests can pipe in on this too. So, anyway. So, did you know that in 1567, the man said to have the longest beard in the world died after tripping over it while fleeing a fire?
Oh,
This is
so sad.
the key for his facts here. Yes.
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, the hazards.
Could that have been Phil Robertson from Duck Dynasty?
It could have been.
Like that? Yeah. So
now he's a Jason Bourne fan. He would have probably found some way out of that.
yeah. So okay. Did you know this? The Eiffel Tower can be 15 centimeters taller during the summer due to thermal expansion. That's almost 6 inches.
That's quite a bit, but it makes sense. I mean, they allow for that, right? Architects allow for that when they build buildings, large buildings,
for
and
steel.
the sway and
for
the
steel
expansion.
And but the whole idea that it might be 6 inches taller.
Oh, that's like me in the summer.
Yeah. Not me. I'm shrinking as we get there,
Stay hydrated, folks.
I climbed it in the winter, so I had the benefit of climbing in the winter.
6 inches shorter. Yeah, I like that.
It's a faster trip.
Okay. That much faster. I like that.
Now here's what I'm going to try out. This is one I had no. Okay, did you know it's impossible to hum while holding your nose closed? And I'm going to try this, Freddie. They're absolutely correct.
And that has been proven.
Yeah.
Right here in our studio.
Yeah. And finally, a jiffy is an actual unit of time. It's equivalent to 1/100th of a second. So in a jiff, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I'll be back in a jiff.
Yeah. So now speaking of jiffy, Bob, here's one. Okay. Peanut butter and...
For me, it's jelly. That sounds very boring, right? But it's jelly.
What kind of jelly?
Man, I like all kinds of jelly. Strawberry.
You want preserved, jam, or jelly?
Preserves.
Okay. And mine is peanut butter. Okay, you're not going to. Okay, peanut butter, alfalfa sprouts, and Klaus and dill pickle.
That explains so much. It just explains so much, Ralph.
It's called the Clyde. My brother handed it to me one day, and it's like my favorite sandwich.
The Clyde.
The Clyde.
Got a name.
So, yeah.
I can't wait to walk into the next restaurant that offers sandwiches like that and say, I'd like to take a Clyde to go. Wow. And on that note, speaking of Clyde to go, it's time for us to step out for a quick second. When we come back, we're going to introduce our special guest today. Everybody stick around.
Valley Telecom Internet keeps you connected at the speed of life. Our fiber optic network provides fast speeds with unlimited data, whether you're gaming, streaming, or downloading your favorite podcasts. To find out what speeds are available in your area, give us a call at 800-421-5711 or go to vtc.net. Life moves pretty fast, and so should your internet. So get connected with Valley Telecom. And don't forget to download the latest episodes of Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back for Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter. Thanks for tuning in. I was really hoping somebody during the break would show up with a Clyde for me to eat so I could try it out. It didn't happen. I guess wishing is not a thing. I can't just make it happen.
No, you can't. You know what? Next show, I'm bringing a loaf of bread, some peanut butter, Klaus and Dills, and alfalfa sprouts just so you can try one out.
And we need to have video of that.
Can you imagine us like trying to talk while we're eating a peanut butter sandwich?
Oh, and then also holding your nose and trying to hum at the same time. I mean, we'd implode. That's what would happen, right?
That's it.
That or go back in time. Yep. Let's talk about going back in time. Let's start this segment all over again. But let's introduce our special guest, and we're excited to have him here today. He's a Gila Valley resident, Thatcher High School graduate, went to EAC and BYU. has had a very interesting career path, and we hope to get into some of that today. He's currently the executive director for the Graham County Chamber of Commerce. Have been for over 5 years now, right? The executive director. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Vance Bryce. Vance, how you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. I mean, we're in our studio in Wilcox. You guys made the trip over here. You and Kay did. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, we always talk about Wilcox just being part of the community, and Greenlee County too. We all go to each other's places, visit each other. We're all the same economy, I feel like.
We really, I mean, it's all rural, right? I mean, varying size, but it's rural. And it is kind of the same, right? I mean, we all have to drive to get somewhere. It's just part of being rural, and especially in Arizona.
Yeah, and if you did live urban and you wanted to go out to eat, you would drive 45 minutes to go to the place you wanted to go to on freeways. So why not get out to the steakhouse out here and to barbecue out here and Mexican places here? Everything's good in Wilcox.
That's true. We do have some good restaurants. Not as many as, say, like Safford area does, but we do have some really good options.
High quality, yep.
We really do. In fact, we're going to hit that up today. One of those options today. I'm excited about it. I don't think they have a Clyde, but we'll do whatever we can. Today.
I am really, really disappointed.
Is this a call to action?
Especially since it's Mexican food. Can you imagine the Mexican Clyde?
Oh, my goodness.
You just put some sauce on it.
Now we're really getting off the path. But anyway, Vance, appreciate you coming over. And now that was 5 years for being the full-time chamber director, right? Weren't you? You were with the chamber before then.
I was an assistant director for about a month, and then I was put in as executive director. Yeah, acting for about another month, and then
you did such a great job.
Yes,
for 30 days,
I acted it.
Yeah, you acted it. Vance, like take it and run with it. and you guys have been so busy. You guys are so busy at the chamber, and I want to talk a little more about the chamber in a minute. But let's get it. I mean, I've been looking into your experiences and your education and things that you've done. I mean, some fascinating things. You served, was it the whole mission you went on to the Ukraine?
I served a mission to Ukraine. So it was the eastern side of Ukraine. And that includes, I was mostly in Kharkiv, which you've probably seen in the news recently is just being blown to hell.
Yeah.
It's just insane there. Anyone and everyone I knew is living in Western Europe now. So
okay.
I don't have anyone there that I know personally. We do have a church member there that used to run kind of their version of Shamrock Farms.
Okay.
So he delivered food to restaurants, and now he's working with international aid agencies, and he's still in town that's getting, rockets in it, delivering food around. So I don't know him personally, but he's a member of the LDS church, and wild times.
Now, when you were there, thank goodness that wasn't going on at that time.
Yeah, they were having that presidential election, and a lot of people. You probably didn't follow Ukrainian politics back in 2008, but there was a ballerina. She had a blonde ballerina, really cool curls, versus the current president, who was like the Russian puppet. And we won't get too much into politics here, but the Russian puppet won while I was there, and it's interesting because everyone that lived there is like, it's so great. Like during elections, the heat is on in our apartment buildings during elections.
Oh, really? Everybody wants the best.
Right.
You really want to take care of everyone. But if it's not
election year, you may or may not have your heat on. So it's just kind of a crazy situation over there.
Now, did you have to learn much Russian or Ukrainian?
I did. I learned very specific Russian. I can talk about the Book of Mormon and Jesus Christ and a few other things, but not much about anything else.
Well, that was your focus while you were there.
That's right.
So you're saying you wouldn't be able to order a Clyde there? Right?
I could probably order a Clyde.
Yeah, that would. Next challenge is right there. That one. Man, that must have been so different and interesting and eye-opening.
Super interesting. It's there. In their society, everything is illegal until the government makes it legal for you to do something. Right. Where here we have everything's legal until the government tells you can't do something. So it's like,
that's true.
Your whole mindset and how you live and operate is totally different. Like the language is based around it. Everything is different. And so it makes you act differently. It's just such a different culture.
Does it make you more guarded, do you think?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And everyone there, if you look at the history of Ukraine, it's just flat plains. So everyone, from the Mongols to Hitler to now Putin, just runs them. I mean, there's just no mountains around them. You can just run tanks in, run horses in. And so there was bullet holes in their main city square from like several different, like 2 centuries of wars have bullet holes in there.
And they've just left them.
So I feel like their personality, a lot of their personalities too, are super guarded and you don't get super warm instantly. But once you do, like any human, they're just like anyone else, obviously.
Yeah. Well, that's the human connection.
Right. The human connection is just the same as anyone else. But I think when they let you in, it's a bigger trust building exercise than, in the United States, we'll wave at someone and say, "Oh, you have a BYU shirt on. I went to BYU," and you're best friends. You're good to go.
All of a sudden, you're good. Yeah.
You're good to go.
Yeah, you're good to go.
In Ukraine, it's like 6 months of trust tests
before you're finally
before
accepted.
you're friends. Yeah,
You mean it's just like New York City?
Yeah.
Similar to New York. Similar to New York, yeah.
No eye contact.
And similar to DC too.
Yeah.
I was going to say, was it very similar to DC because you spent time there. You were a page with the U.S. Senate for a short amount of time.
You went back into my history.
I did. I did
was
a little
only
research.
16 years old back then.
That was a ways back. What was that experience like at being a teenager?
It was a dream come true for my nerdy government and civics self. I had such a good time. I was watching, the reason why I went is I was watching Jeopardy one day and they had a question about it. And they were like, what? I can't remember the answer, I guess, not a question because it's Jeopardy.
Yeah, the answer in the form of a question.
Yeah, that's right. The answer in the form of a question.
What is a Clyde?
It was what is a page, and they have teenagers working in the United States Senate, and I had no idea that was the opportunity. And it just so happened that our Senator John Kyle, was going to be in town later that week. My dad had a relationship with him. There's a lot of really lucky and relational things that were able to happen to get me there, and I was very lucky.
Well, in that form, I mean, it's similar, but it's not. But I mean, it's all building those relationships and those tests, like you're talking about. Are you going to be okay?
Yeah,
almost like you did the Ukraine.
There,
it's kind of still, you got to get to know trust. You got to build trust and connection.
And when I worked in the house as an adult, I had an apartment in DC, and I made a banana nut bread muffin loaf, I guess. And which you would do in Safford and bring it to your neighbor, and then you're best friends.
Right.
But I did it in DC, and I was rejected. They said, I don't need your food. I'm going to live here 2 years max. I don't even know who you are. Sayonara. Like
just do your job.
I was shocked because I'm, born and raised in Gila Valley, and we share food and we break bread, and it was pretty wild for me to experience that.
It's almost like they thought you were trying to influence them.
Yeah, and I don't even know where they worked or anything.
Yeah,
and maybe they were in some office that I didn't even realize, but or maybe they were like CIA and they were freaked out.
Right. They're going to have to X-ray the banana bread and make sure everything was safe and all that. That's very interesting.
Could have recruited you as a spy at that point in time.
Yeah,
it's like
that's very interesting.
I'd be a terrible spy.
I think everybody trusts you right away. You show up with banana nut bread.
Yeah.
As a spy, even everybody's going to trust you immediately.
That's true.
They're saying, "Hey, this guy brings the food. We got."
I could spy on rural America. I could really get in to the community fast.
All I know is if you'd have brought banana nut bread today, Vance, we'd be brothers.
Next time.
Yeah, you did serve. You also worked over 2 years, right? You went back for the House of Representatives and worked there as an adult. Man, oh man, what was that like? I mean, you kind of said, it was, but what did you gain from that? What did you gain from it? You brought back to the Valley.
I learned, at least in DC, if you can solve problems, and I think Valley Telecom is a good example of this. If you can solve someone's problem, you're going to be fine in life.
Right.
In your job, as a company, as an institution, if you can solve someone's problem, that's what people need.
No, you're right. You're right.
The example I always give is spreadsheet knowledge is not equal from generation to generation.
Yeah.
And
I love how you just said that. It's not equal from generation to generation. Well said, Vance. You've worked in politics before, I can tell.
That's right. So,
well, talking about solving problems, you guys at the Chamber have a lot to do with that as far as interacting with local businesses and helping businesses, not only integrate into a community, but also thrive.
Yep. Our community liaison, Kay Ekval, likes to say, find a need, fill a need. And we usually can connect the missing pieces. And we like to get good at that.
Yeah, you guys have a great staff. And are doing a lot. You guys are evolving it. So you want to talk about what you guys have been going through since when you started versus where you're heading or what you're doing now? I mean, you've obviously, for 5 years, you've had to step in, see how things were done. You were interim before and think, this is where I think it needs to go, the direction. So talk a little bit about that, what the direction the chamber's heading.
Yeah, that's a good question. It has a lot to do with internet connectivity, actually.
Hey, right
because
on.
The old chamber model was you printed a directory of all the businesses and it went out once a year. And you wouldn't believe how many new businesses come in through just a year alone, or updated services, or change in ownership, or change in name or logo, or everything moves at the speed of Valley Telecom at this
Hey,
point.
I like that. Yeah, that's true.
And so we had to reformat, relook at how people were using the chamber, how we could really join the digital age, really look at digital marketing as a in tourism is what we're currently updating quite a bit, looking at data on who's even visiting, matching up audiences. It's all really interesting stuff.
Now, a lot of those things take funds. I mean, it's hard to do as a chamber, right? You get so many from members joining and things like that. Are there other sources of funding you guys are involved with or get?
We get a lot of support from a contract with the city of Safford. We received a huge grant from United Way last year. United Way of Grand and Greenlee Counties is super supportive of the community. And actually, Valley Telecom and the Foundation for Rural Service provided us a grant to really up the tech in our Gila Valley community room. So we have Rotary there meeting there every week. We have all the nonprofit roundtables meet there every month. The Homelessness Coalition meets there twice a month. It's a room that gets used. And right now, it's stained carpet, almost bare walls, just one white layer of paint on the walls. And we're adding a whole lot. We're adding microphones. We're adding a video conferencing system. We're adding a flat screen TV with on a rack, on a cart. What would you call that? On a stand. Yep. And Kay's been Kay, our community liaison, has been so generous with us borrowing her projector. She's an artist. Her own
projector she brought.
Yeah, she's an artist. She uses it for murals, but we borrow it for these community organizations to have something to use their presentations on. And so with this grant we've got from the Foundation for Rural Service, and Valley Telecom puts into that as well, we're able to totally up the game of that room for all of these organizations. So
that's exactly what they're designed for. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That you guys got approved for that. That's fantastic. And we were glad to be a part of that and help you guys out, a small part, to make that happen. But I know that, and we talked a little bit about it too, how has the internet and technology evolved or changed to help the chamber and the directions you want to take it?
Yeah, just in the last 5 years, what can you think of? Like, I feel like ChatGPT is like the Gutenberg press, potentially.
Right.
It is earth-moving technology.
It is,
and not just ChatGPT, but all artificial intelligence models. The language-based model that they've come out with it's just so user-friendly. It enables us to, we probably have a second staff, now we have 4 staff members right now. We probably have a 5th staff member through our subscription with ChatGPT, and using that for press releases and for ideas on marketing and for website content and getting the ideas out there. Of course, editing it, making our tone is the things we like to do, but ChatGPT has been a huge one for us.
Yeah, and it's for everybody. It's such a useful tool if you use it right with human. We've been talking about this a lot. Ralph and I have about AI and the use, and even in our industry. And with the right direction and the right guidance from humans or people, it's such a useful tool for everything like that. And what about? I know that I'm sure you guys get a lot of contact from people that, hey, I'm thinking about coming to the area, and I saw your website, and have a bunch of questions or follow up or anything like that?
We've had 2 different developers come in last month. One's a housing one, one's a corporate one. And they want to know what the heart of the valley is. They want to know what kind of people the labor pool is. They want to know if they should relocate there. And then a ton of people are moving in currently too. So we had a couple from Turkey that just moved into Safford. They're going to be working for FMI.
Oh, wow.
And wondering what there is to do, wondering how they can integrate into the community. And I think that's huge, especially for, I would say for urban and rural, because I did feel a little rejected by my banana nut bread story in DC. And you'll notice I don't live in DC anymore.
I do notice that. Yeah. You did your a little over 2 years and you were out of there. They were talking about the 2 years and I'm gone.
Yeah. The rural experience, sometimes we were talking about this last week in a chamber board meeting. We really need to circle wagons around people moving in. There's a ton of people moving in. And if you're going to rely on who are you related to as your entry salvo into building a relationship, we probably need to change course and just learn who people are, meet them where they are, and bring them in to the Graham County and southeastern Arizona families.
Open arms.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's a good time for us to take our next break here, Vance. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Vance Bryce and get to know him a little bit, his passions, his hobbies, and we're going to get in a little bit of that when we return. Stick around.
Join Bob Dahlstrom and Ralph Score right here as they provide a look behind the curtain of a broadband provider on Valley Telecom's new podcast, Bits, Bytes, and Banter. In every episode, they will take a bite out of the tech world and provide a healthy dose of banter with people in our community. Plus, they'll share funny stories and a bit about what is going on in their worlds. Look for Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And we are back to Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter. And yes, Tim is correct. We are now on Apple Podcast app, which we're very excited about. We finally got approved for that. It just seemed to take forever, but it's there. It's approved. And you can find it wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, iHeart. You can go to our website, vtc.net/blog, and see all of our episodes and listen to them there. We encourage you to check them out and like them, review them, and download them. You can listen to them. We always try to keep them about 30 to 40 minutes. You can enjoy an episode going from here to Safford to Duncan, maybe even up to Morenci, or even over from here to Benson. You can listen to one episode at a time. So
it's like Bob says, we're not a true crime podcast.
We're not. We don't need to do a documentary series of 4 hours.
I do know where the bodies are buried around here, however. So
I do my Keith Morrison impression, but
that's right.
That's it. That's about as far as we get. So we are talking with the executive director of the Graham County Chamber of Commerce, Vance Bryce. Vance, thanks for being here. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things you like to do in your spare time, which doesn't sound like you have a whole lot of that right now. You're a busy man. But I did see you like to go on hikes. You like nature, being out there in the outdoors, right?
Yes, I do love. Hiking is a strong word for what I like to do. It's more of a nature walk when I go out, because I like to smell the flowers. I like to look at the rocks and the plants, and I may not get from A to B. So I have a cousin, his name is Bryce, which his mom just loved her last name. So anyway, his name is Bryce. He is at A to B. He and his wife are A to B. Get to that point. Hey, this is how much time we did this last mile. I don't even know.
It's forced marching. That's like military stuff.
That's not an enthusiast.
So you're like me. You're a saunterer.
Yes, saunter is such a good word.
A frolicker, if you will.
Yes.
How's that for a word? I do understand you do have something in common with Indiana Jones.
Not the hat or the bullwhip.
Oh, man.
You guys do not like snakes.
I hate them.
It's all right.
Absolutely. I do like most animals. I love furry animals. Slimy. Not that all snakes are slimy, but the silky or whatever you call it. I don't even know. I have had too many close encounters as a kid and even as an adult that I'm not a fan of them. I will not walk through long grass without. Really? I just get so scared of them. It's a fear I have.
And you do realize we live where the crocodile hunter did his rattlesnake episode.
Up in the stronghold.
Nice.
He did. Yeah. Well, yeah, I totally understand that, right? We all have our phobias and fears and things. It's like, yeah, that's okay, but I draw the line at that. And yours is snakes.
Yes.
So, yeah, stay out of the weeds.
I'm not all about killing them. If they come inside the house, yes.
All bets are off at that point.
Yeah, all bets are off at that point. But I feel like removing them, putting them out somewhere is fine. But I don't hate them that much. I know they have a place in the ecosystem, but they don't need to be in my bed or in my house.
That ecosystem does not include your house.
Not in
right.
your
Not
living
my
room,
habitat. Yeah.
No, I'm the same way. I'm fine with that. But if you're in my house, I'm sorry. All bets are off.
Right.
At that point.
You are now an invader.
Yes, you are. You're not a welcome guest by any means. And you're also a foodie, right? You love food.
Love food.
So, I mean, all foodies kind of have, not all foodies, but it seems like foodies have like a thing that they really, really like. I mean, do you like, is it Mexican food? Is it Italian food? Or are you just...
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you have something.
There we go.
You said something about you like stuff on different kinds of breads, right? Like
I love bread.
and-
Yes. So tacos, probably number one food. Taco. I'll take a taco from anywhere.
I love it.
Then naan, of course. I love Thai food as well. So even rice as a grain. I make this
love rice.
that's curried rice with a cinnamon stick in it and some red pepper flakes and some raisins. It's killer.
I am getting really hungry. I mean, it's almost lunchtime. It's a good thing.
Well, we have a question of the day that fits right into your notion.
You want to ask that specific question?
Yeah, I think you got to ask him that specific
so
question.
this is the Vance Bryce question of the day. Vance, this is your question. Tell us your opinion on this. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
It's on bread.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. Why would you say no, that it's not a normal sandwich?
Because you can also like chop up hot dog and put it in macaroni and cheese or in other things, and it's still called a hot dog.
Oh, now I never thought of that one. That's a great answer.
That is probably the
great
best answer for that question I've ever heard. That really is. It's like, no matter what you do with it, it's a hot dog.
It's
I'm
like
going to remember that one.
It's a recipe item. The
Yeah.
hot dog is in itself. When you put it in a bun,
that.
maybe a hot dog in a bun is a sandwich. Again, there's my
But no one ever
political
says-
background.
but no one
Yes,
ever
both
says-
of it's true.
Can I have a hot dog sandwich?
I was just saying, no one ever says, "Can I have a hot dog sandwich?"
We'd have to ask the Earl of
right.
Sandwich if
Ask
he
Earl.
wants it named
Yeah.
after him.
Earl of sandwich. Can I have a hot dog?
No.
On that, it is otherwise it's not a sandwich.
Not that German crazy. That's not English.
That's a great answer, though. To think about that, no matter where you put it, it's still
It's still a
hot
hot
dog.
dog.
Still
It's
hot
an
dog.
ingredient.
I'll bet you if I put that on a Clyde, it would no longer be a hot dog.
It would be a Clyde,
Clyde with
a
hot dog.
That's exactly right. See, I'm sorry.
Can I
Sorry,
have
Ralph.
a side of hot dog, please?
A side of hot dog. Could you chop up my hot dog too for my Clyde? Would you mind doing that, please? See, Ralph, I'm going with Vance on
I
this.
do want to try a Clyde.
I do too now. I'm not a pickle guy.
Where do you
I'm
buy
really not.
alfalfa sprouts?
Well, you can get them at most grocery stores will carry it, like in the produce section. They'll come in a
Okay.
little container, alfalfa sprouts. But think about it. You put peanut butter
I
on
do love alfalfa
celery
sprouts on a
sticks,
sandwich.
right?
Yeah, and you said something specific about the pickles
The
too.
Klaus and dill, because it's crisp and it's cold, so
Okay.
it's not. It hasn't been cooked and everything, and it gives us kind of offset to the savory of the peanut butter, and then the sprouts gives you that earthiness along with it.
Is it crunchy or creamy peanut butter?
You could either one.
question.
Either one, okay.
Yeah.
I think if you don't put the Clausen on it, then it's called a Gunther. I think that's what it is after that. I think it totally changes it. Can I have a Clyde hold the pickle? You mean a Gunther? Yes, sir. That's exactly what I want. All right. So I'm going to go with that, Vance. On the hot dog is just an ingredient. I think that's brilliant. I love that answer. And want to remind everybody, yes, that we are on a podcast, and you wouldn't know it for listening to us right now. This is Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter. Guys, if you ever have any questions you want us to address on the podcast, you can email us at podcast@teamvtg.net. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm gonna,
VTG.
yes, thank you. I was thinking Victor Tom Gunther.net.
And there's no Clyde in there. Okay.
No Clyde at all. Vance, we appreciate you being a guest on today's episode of Bits, Bytes, and Banter. And guys,
Thank you for having me.
it was a pleasure, and we hope to have you again some other time in the future. Guys, thanks for tuning in to Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter, and we look forward to talking to you all and having you all listen to us very soon. Take care.